today's project is going to be a lidded box with an ebony finial, and I'm going to be making it out of a piece of sycamore, and we'll go up to the lathe and get some. Okay, I've got it down to round. Now I'm going to make a tenon on either end, square off the faces so we can fit into the medium gripper jaws. So now I shall put it into the jaws. Now we've got to decide which is going to be the top, which is going to be the bottom, and there's not a lot of difference there. Okay. So I'm going to do the lid first. So we'll take the body out, put the lid in. That's the inside hollowed out now, so what I'm going to do is to sand up the inside. This is very dry, this sycamore, so there's a little bit of tear out there, so quite a bit of sanding to be done just to get rid of that, and when I've done that and finished the inside I'll come back. Okay, so I'm now going to apply the second coat of wax. And then just burnish it out. I like to get the lids done first, then the inside is done and the mortise has been done, so when I'm doing the box it gives me a little room for error. If I get the tenon wrong on the first attempt I can always reduce the size of the box a little bit until the lid fits as I want. I haven't really got a preconceived idea for design, so I shall take the lid off when I've finished buffing the inside. We'll just let that dry a bit and give it a final buff, and then I'll finish the lid off once I've done the body. I have some ideas for the body of the box. I want it quite curved, etc., so but I'll see how it goes, and the lid then hopefully will reflect the design of the base of the box. So we'll let that dry a little bit more and then give it a final buffing, and then take it off and start to hollow out the body of the box. Now because this wood is very dry, I've taken my 1/2 inch spindle gouge, turned the speed right up to about 3000 revs and took such a light cut, and it's left it fairly well smooth. Because it's such punky wood, it's difficult or more difficult to get a nice clean surface, but not too bad on there now, so I can reduce that now as and how, and the inside is going to have the same problem of getting a smooth surface because of the nature of the wood. Yeah, that's going to do it. Okay, so now I'm going to sand the inside of that up, and then we'll carry on with the shaping. Slide a little bit on the front there. What I'm going to have to do is to put very high revs to get that smooth. Use a spindle gouge and very, very lightly take it past. That should. It's quite punky there. But, have to put up with that, I think. Okay. So I'll come back when I've sanded the inside, and then we'll carry. This is just a little tip that I picked up from somebody. If you've got punky wood on the front here, you would normally sand it around 500 revs. Now if you turn the revs right up and use I'm using 150 grit here, and turn it right up, and I'm doing 2,500 revs now, and lightly, very lightly, abrade the surface. And that should get rid of the tear out, the punky bits. As you see, that's really very smooth now. And obviously we have to be careful that the lid is not, that the tenon doesn't come down too much. I will most probably just sand the tenon with 320 to 400, I should think. Now the same thing here, as you can see the punky bits here, I'm going to try the same method and see if that smooths up the surface somewhat, and it does. There's still a little bit of tear out there. Now going with the bash, I've just got to be very careful with the tenon. See, that's cleaned that up really well. So there's a little tip for you. If you're getting problems with punky wood and you can't get the clean surface, very lightly sand with a very low, with a low grit, 150, 180 grit, because basically it's almost like a tool. You could do it with your tool. I'll rephrase that. You could do that. You could do it with your gouge. I think that's either one to leave in or one for the bloopers. You could do it with your gouge, of course. But I just wanted to try this out because somebody gave me, somebody mentioned it to me, and I thought, nah, can't be. But it does actually work. So if you get this sort of punky wood where you've got, it almost looks like tear out, which it most probably is, to rectify that, very high speed, a low grit, 150, 180 grit, and just show it to the wood, and that gives you a nice smooth surface. So there, you've learned something, and so have I. That's the inside finished, and now we can work on the outside. 'Just in case, I've decided while I'm working on the lid just to put a little bit of masking tape on the join. Just better be safe than sorry, I think. I'm bringing up the tailstock. I've removed the point from the live centre. This is the one I use for doing goblets, etc. with a tennis ball. Bringing up the tailstock, and I'm going to just put a little bit of pressure on there, just to hold the lid on. Right, here we go. Again, very light pressure on this. And that's the outside finished, and the grain matches up nicely. So now all that remains to do is to drill a little recess for the finial, and then we'll turn the finial. Okay, so last coat of wax. That's the finial finished. Just got to size the tenon now and put it into the lid. And there's the finial, and that's come up quite nicely. You can see it there. I think that suits rather well. So all that remains now is to part off. And there we have the box finished, and I think it came out rather well. The grain matches up nicely. There's the box. I'll put some photographs up at the end, and yes, as I always say, I will do the bottom. So there are a few people that say, do I finish the bottom? Yes, I do. I'll sand that up with the palm sander, and I'll put some photographs up at the end. And thanks very much indeed for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Cheers now.